How familiar were you with Bosco's story? It's such an interesting arc and turn. So, what was it like playing that type of character, and how did you learn about him?
I had no clue about Bosco's story. One of my brothers, who's one of the managers on my team, Micah, he had brought me the script, and he had actually served a few years in prison. So just having someone like that who's so close to me kind of send me a story and say, "Man, this script is killer." That was one of the first things that really piqued my eye, and then obviously I read Nick's story and Bosco's story, and I was blown away. I was like, I have to play this role. I have to play this role. This is like the perfect time in my career to play this role, but also I want to help this guy get out. Um, and initially, that's what I thought. Taking on this role would do is, you know, bring more light to the story so that we could eventually try to get him out. And Bosco, being the determined gentleman that he is, he was out before we even shot the film. So that just speaks a lot to his story, and it speaks a lot to who he is as a person. But for me, playing a role, I took on a lot of responsibility, but I did me and Nick, we did a lot of work. We spent a lot of time on every single scene and breaking down every single beat, to the point where we were very confident that we would be able to pull it off, and I'm glad that we did.
So, Vivica, for you, this story is a lot about faith, determination, and, seeing a way when there sort of is no way, no matter the circumstances. So, in Willa, what did you have to kind of tap into for yourself, or reach back to someone maybe you have crossed to bring out elements of that character?
Can I tell you this character for me? Like, I haven't played a mom um, in a while. So I took myself back to my days of soul food. When I played the mom with the kids and having that connection with her son. And so it took me to that. And also inspirational for me would be my sister Alicia, AKA Shuggy. She's kind of like the glue that holds our family together, that, she's real, a little bit of tough love. So whenever I have to play characters that are grounded and that are real, for me, my inspiration is always my big sister. Willa loved her son, but he unfortunately became a product of the environment, and so she did her best to try to keep him as close as she could. I mean, even till when he, went to jail with her, giving him messages like, "What are you going to do? You're going to keep running? You're going to have you and your family running?" So she always just tried to be like the glue that tried to hold her son together, even when she was losing him.
So, Nicholas, for you in putting this project together with this type of story, there's so many angles that you could focus on, or so many elements that you could dive into, or, blow out, so to speak. What made you focus on this particular element in storytelling to tell his story?
I think we try, Quante and I like really work together to try and find the emotional truth of his story. Because, he's such a big character, to per se, like there's so many different sides to him. So we really try to hone in like what we can tell in the context of a prison break story at this time of his life. Cause he's lived a whole full life, and it's like, his whole book is like so full of introspection and stuff like that. And we can only tell a very small part of it. So we try to take all the emotional truth from all the other aspects of his book and his childhood and growing up, and we try to put it in this very specific story that's like a very sticky part, so that because people like prison break movies. He did something amazing. He did something amazing, and that's how we get people to buy in, and then slip them the rest of the emotional truth of his story.
So, Vivica, you mentioned it's been a long time since you have portrayed a mother. What was that experience like, linking up with Aubrey?
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, go ahead. No, I honestly just got to meet him today, and then watching, my clips and stuff like that. That when they sent me the clips. I was like, oh, wow, he went through a lot. But I love to see an actor that he dove completely into the character 100% with all of its ugliness, brutality, for it to then, have a wonderful message in the end that, Q was on set giving us all notes. I got to work with Q's daughter. So it was a wonderful experience. But I love supporting independent film, especially independent films that get our stories told.
And so, Aubrey, for you, what is the one lesson in all the encouragement, the prison break aspect? Because as Nicholas mentioned, that's something that you don't hear of, and a person survive it and then be freed after that. So what is the one lesson that you will take away from this experience into the more further projects that you work on?
I guess the one lesson that I'll take away is, after shooting this film, I definitely find myself looking for spaces and films where there's a strong camaraderie between, from the top to the bottom, between the producers, from the producers down to the actors, down to who's even working on set. I feel like Bosco, set an example to have, everybody felt like family. You know what I'm saying? That's what I would take, career-wise. But as far as just in life, I think I'm just still in awe of Bosco. You know what I mean? He is, I often say, just like a real-life superhero. And I've learned a lot from him, and I'm still learning from him to this day. And it's really like, he doesn't sit back and wait. You know what I mean? He takes life into his own hands, and he tries to make whatever he can make happen for himself, every day, as long as he has those 24 hours. So it's definitely one thing I took away from him.